Hello, hello. Thank you for attending, everyone. Thank you for attending. This is another great presentation where I have with my uh, podcast partner on a weekly basis, Mr. Richard.advani from Supreme Lending, and he his company is a very fast-growing company. It's nationwide. He primarily help investors to get financing in all 56 really. He's based out in Southern California, and I'm based out of Northern California. But we help investors all over the country and to leverage their real estate wealth. And anyway, so Richard Vanny, before we go any further, the topic of this conversation is I'm just, for the lack of a better term, I think I've created a blueprint to buy a single family home investment, right? With a minimum down, it'll be I don't think anybody have discussed this type of strategy, but without further ado, Richard, let's get this started. Now this is a now some of you are thinking, oh, I don't have enough down payment to buy my first rental property, or some investors, they're newbies, they don't want to take too much risk. And some investors, they want to buy a portfolio of homes. Some like to create a lot of cash flow. They don't really care about appreciation that much. They want to buy a portfolio of this type of homes with minimal down payment so they can achieve the monthly passive income that they desire when they retire in a few years from now. So whatever situation you're in, this presentation, this is a blueprint I'm going to share with you. Now, before Richard begin, as a matter of fact, Richard and his company has helped our investors for the past 4 or 5 years to finance these low purchase rental homes. We believe he is the only lender who is willing to do a loan on such a low purchase price property, therefore allowing our investors to achieve much higher return than ordinarily possible, along with the great cash flow that they're getting. So this is a real life example, and we have this kind of property on a weekly basis on this particular market. But anyway, so we're able to do, and Richard's company can do this loan with only 15% down payment. I know most people thinking, oh, investors, you must put down at least 20%, and from 20 to 25%. Yes, that is true. But Richard Vanny, once again, he has this program where you can put 15% down payment on an investment loan to purchase such a low-end property. But we'll talk about it. You have to pay, mortgage, private mortgage insurance, which is very, very small amount, which is irrelevant really when it comes down to the cash flow analysis. So this property is a mere $50,500. This is a real property, but by the time we finish presenting, this property is already gone, purchased by some investor. But if you look at the numbers, which is truly amazing. For most properties of these types typically located in the Midwest. Okay, so just so you know what I mean by Midwest, right? Anyway, so it's very, very difficult initially to finance any kind of properties this low amount because most lenders are not willing to finance such a low loan limit, if you will, and because oftentimes it's not profitable, right, to these kind of small loans. But Richard will explain why it's profitable for his company. And not only that, in many Midwest market, on a investment home of this type, such a low price, you cannot get financing because the appraisal is broken. It's not appraised correctly in many markets, but in this market, it works, right? So I don't know how Richard Advani's company does it, but his lender are able to appraise a low purchase property. This is a minimal threshold. If you buy anything less than 50,000 purchase price on a rental property, Richard Advani's company cannot do this because his loan limit, as I understand, is 40,000. So if the minimum loan limit is 40,000, then I just calculated my analysis, and this is the minimal purchase price where you can buy something with financing with 15% down, although you can do 20% down, 25% down. You can buy with cash. A lot of people buy cash anyway on this type of small properties. But if you want to build a portfolio of homes, multiple homes, and you can leverage, only put down like 13 grand total, including closing costs, and get the cash flow, get the financing, and get the total return and the cash on cash return, the cap rate, all that nice numbers. And in a market where, where our turnkey provider here in Niagara Falls, able to, do everything for you, right? I mean, you don't pay for rehab costs. I mean, the property is already rented, right? It's already leased. Is everything has been upgraded, and it's a pre-lease home. I mean, investors buy these homes, just like that. I mean, and it's being managed by in-house property management. They have the rehab team, they have a contract team, they have the whole service, full-blown one-stop shop for out-of-state investors. So enough said. So Richard, you have done many of these kind of loans on these kind of properties over the years. Tell me why what I've just said, my presentation is, in a way, it's kind of too good to be true. I mean, how can anybody buy a $50,000 property, cash flow so nicely at $237 per month? I even put down the maintenance projection, which is, 5% maintenance projection. I put down the vacancy rate. So these numbers are fairly realistic. So yeah, a lot of investors out there are simply does not think this kind of strategy is doable. But I'm telling you, we have done it many, many times over the past few years. Richard have done many loans. So just to show you, I mean, if you find the right strategy, if you find the right entity in the market, and if you can find the right team like us, myself and Richard and a few other members of our team that can help you to trigger on this kind of portfolio acquisition. I mean, imagine that, right? So enough said. Richard have a lot of things to say because you have so much experience doing this. So tell me from a big level why this is not too good to be true, why this is doable for out-of-state real estate investors. So go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if you're aware either, but the first rental I bought 13 years ago was actually in upstate New York, in Buffalo, so right near Niagara, for probably 10 miles away from this example property you have. And yeah, I mean, believe it or not, people, there are opportunities out there in the market where you can buy in strategic markets that acquisition costs are still under $60,000, $70,000, in this case, even $50,000. And yes, we can absolutely provide financing on them as well. Which is exceptional. As SeeWing mentioned, a lot of lenders won't go under $70,000 or $80,000. So you can buy a cash flowing property for just $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 in total investment, if not even less, which is obviously incredible. And as you can see, the numbers on this particular property are outstanding. Even if you set that maintenance reserve from 5% to 10% or 15%, I mean, you're still talking double-digit returns on the property. And it's a great property for a newer investor who, maybe doesn't have as much capital. We deal with a lot of pretty qualified millennial home buyers that, have a good credit, have a good income. However, saving $50,000, $60,000 for a property in Texas or in a different market may be impossible for them, or it may take 3 or 4 years and they really want to participate in the market. So properties like this are a great means for people to participate in the market, not need to have a crazy amount, obviously, in terms of down payment as well. and, you know, also experience some growth, right? These properties, these areas, a lot of them are gentrifying. So there's going to be a lot of growth generally ahead of them as well. But yeah, overall, I think it's a good strategy. But, you know, as I always say, know what you're buying. These properties are going to have take a little more work and oversight than, say, you know, one of SeeWing's new construction properties in Texas that cost 250,000. You know, so inherently, no, you know, with obviously greater returns come a little more effort and work, right? You may experience a little more turnover on these properties. Of course, everything is still a 1-year lease, and it may be a little more maintenance than you would, of course, on a brand new home. But even factoring those in, and those things alone, you know, they shouldn't scare you. It's just set the right reserves and run the numbers realistically up front, so that you're not surprised when, you know, minor maintenance items happen. But yeah, all in all, you know, I've got a couple of these types of properties in my portfolio. And once again, the first property I ever bought, when I was that demographic we're talking about, right? I was 20 years old, good income, but I didn't have $60,000 to put down on a, you know, more expensive home. So I entered the real estate investment game, if you can call it that, with a property just like this. So.
Yeah, exactly, Richard. Now the big picture is in terms of acquisition portfolio strategy, in terms of exit strategy. Now, I mean, this type of property could be part of someone's portfolio, regardless whether you have a lot of money or not. Sometimes if you have a whole bunch of new construction property that in Texas or Florida that costs $300,000 and at 20% down, you only have like maybe $300 monthly cash flow. And if you want to, do some asset allocation and offset that with a high cash flow purchase in a Midwest market, such as this type of property, it will give you a high cash flow to offset the low cash flow. So that's how you diversify your portfolio over time. So everybody's situation is different. I know, like Richard said, I mean, some investors cannot take, the stress associated with, dealing with the maintenance, although, you're buying out of state remotely, although, our turnkey provider will do everything for you. You don't have to talk to the tenant. You don't have to deal with the maintenance and upkeep because this company will do everything for you long-term. They've been doing it for many, many years. I think 30 years. This turnkey provider that's been promoting Niagara Falls and Buffalo. So, I mean, it's a family, it's a multi-generational family. The father, the children are all in a business. It's a family business. They have everything in-house, property management, everything. So it's almost passive. It's almost remotely. You just get your, mailbox money, if you will, on a every monthly basis, hopefully. So now let's talk about some exit strategies. I mean, like I said, I mean, you're cash flowing $240 per month already on a 15% down payment with a small, principal private mortgage insurance of like maybe $20, no big deal. So again, 13 grand out of pocket. Let's say you have $100,000 cash to create your portfolio and you want to do financing, you want to buy this type of property. Look, how many properties can you buy with 100 grand total cash? You can buy approximately 7 of these properties, right? Just do the math, right? You're buying 7 of these properties with your total out of pocket 100 grand cash, and if you cash flow around $250 per month, 250 times 7, we're talking like almost $2,000 monthly passive income just right off the bat. And then some of you might want to pay down the mortgage, right? Use all your positive cash flow from all these properties to focus and pay down one house at a time, the mortgage, one principal per month, extra principal per month, and in 5 years or less, you can pay off this 30-year mortgage, this small little loan you're doing. So sort of a residual effect, pay down the principal, so you can pay off all your houses, mortgages in about 5 to 7 years. That you can live free and clear. It's that simple. So yeah, a lot of different ways to do some exit strategies, but pretty amazing, right? Think about it. I mean, this is real stuff. I mean, 13 grand out of pocket, and cash flow. I mean, look at the return up here, 10% cap rate and 1.3% rent to value ratio, 23% cash and cash return. And you might as well throw in 2 or 3% annual appreciation, even maybe even more, because all the market is housing market is appreciating in the past couple of years, regardless of locations. I think that's pretty much it for this presentation. The big picture is a newbie can do this turnkey out-of-state passive investment as long as you have a team that can help you do all the work for you, remote out-of-state passively. Doesn't matter where you live. In California, if you live in California, Vermont, or North Dakota, it does not matter. This company, this type of investments are available for you easily, efficiently, and like I said, with mailbox money. So one final thought for you, Richard, on this type of strategy.
Yeah, just kind of as you hit earlier as well is, these properties aren't only for new investors. We have a lot of clients who are very seasoned investors that have huge portfolios of these higher cash flow properties. And a lot of it depends on where you are kind of in your life and retirement cycle, right? If you're about to retire, you probably are more interested in cash flow than appreciation, as you may get, in Florida or Texas or somewhere like that. You need to replace an income that you had. And that's where we see obviously a lot of people buy these properties as well is, when you need a tangible income to replace immediately with cash flow. Because, you buy 5, 6, 8, 10 of these, which doesn't require a huge amount of investment. You're talking about some real money and some real income replacement. So, and then lastly, of course, it's good to have a balanced portfolio like I do. Right. I have high cash flow properties. I have new construction appreciation properties. I have some multi-units in there as well. So it's a good idea to have a balanced portfolio and, try out different types of properties and also, blend your portfolio with a bunch of everything. That way, that really helps you weather kind of any market. So if you don't have properties like this in your portfolio, maybe a good time to add a couple.
Yep, makes sense. All right. Okay. Thank you, Richard. And with that in mind, this concludes this presentation about how to put the minimal down to leverage your investments to buy multiple properties for cash flow purposes.